Okay, now we can start. All right, so why shame money? Shame money was born out of a personal experience. You see, I believe when I started my journey into entrepreneurship, I always thought that I had these grand ideas and I wanted to pursue it. And I wanted to, when you have the spirit of excellence and you want to do things the proper way and you want to do it the right way and the big way. And that was really me. Well, the journey started well at first, and then I hit certain roadblocks in my career, in my business, and I realized something very important, that you start somewhere. And I think the starting is the problem that a lot of us face. So while you're busy building businesses, which is great, a lot of us at best, we do much better when we start somewhere. All right. So that's the first thing about shame money. The second thing, and the reason why I call this shame money, is because I believe that everybody has a gift, skill, or talent that they can monetize, but they are ashamed or embarrassed about what people are going to think about. For instance, I was an AVP. I always make this example. I was an AVP in the financial services. So I came with all the bells and whistles, all the perks. But I wanted to start a business and I really loved smoothies. So I decided finally, after thinking about it, I was going to get a store somewhere, get a couple of staff, but I realized that, you know what, I've not even gotten a hang of this thing yet. I'm just getting started, the time, the energy, probably the money, so many things that will go into it. So I decided that, you know what, I had the voice one day, why don't you just start from where you are? I have a smoothie machine. And then I just started, brought fresh fruits and blended it, took it to work, gave it as free for the first day or two, and then started to charge people. And how much was I really making? Probably 200 naira. For those of us outside of Nigeria, it's about 50 cents, about 40 shillings, thereabout. But here's the thing, that's what that taught me. And I was really embarrassed at some point when I started, because can you imagine you going to all those receptionists, like selling smoothies here and then? But I knew I had to go through that journey. I didn't necessarily do it for the money, because I could afford whatever it is I needed to buy, but I needed to understand the basics of business. And because of that experience, I was able, actually the business grew, I made a bit of money, I saved that money, and I used that money to part of what I started Money Stewards with. And I also like to tell you, for those of us that are just hearing me for the first time, I like to tell you the story of a woman. A teacher by training, came to Lagos, got married, and found herself, first child, second child, third child. She needed to earn income because you want to support your husband and you want a better lifestyle for yourself. She couldn't get a job because she had kids and she needed to go into business, but she couldn't get a loan to start a business. And then one day she went to the market to buy 2 dresses for her daughter. On her way back, she thought the dresses were so beautiful. It was made in America. And so she went to a friend's place. I just got these dresses. My aunt just traveled from abroad. Okay. Do you want to buy them? And the friend said, oh, how much is it? Well, she actually bought those dresses for, I think, probably 50 naira or thereabout. And she doubled it. And the woman didn't haggle or argue and paid for it. And she thought, oh, wow, luck has smiled on her. She repeated the process with another friend and another friend. And the story goes on. And at some point, obviously, she couldn't shift the baby's dress anymore. She was doing makeup, shoes, clothes, anything she could lay her hands on. And then all of a sudden, she actually transported all this goods with buses, no internet, no phone, no nothing. And then eventually she could afford to hire taxis. And then one day a guy was saying to her, oh no, I don't need your goods. I've seen you come here all the time. Where's your store? I'll come and buy when I need. She said, oh, I don't have any store in this market. The man says, you mean you come here all the time? You have no store. How do you transport your goods? He said, well, I take taxis. When I can't afford taxis, I take buses. And he said, you know what? Here's a store. You can start using it. And that's how she got the first store. And then she got the second store. And one day she was able to build.
Wow.
One day she was able to build her own shop. And then one day she was able to build a commercial building. And then one day she was able to build houses. And the story goes on and on. And then she ended up buying houses outside the country. And the rest is history. That woman is my mother. And so I am a proud recipient of Shamemoney. I understand that where you start is not where you end. Do not despise the days of small beginnings. And that woman worked hard so that I can have a platform to start. And so when I wanted to start Money Stewards, I remembered my mom's story and I said, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And so it wasn't easy, but it was an experience that has stayed with me, selling my smoothies. And that experience, as small as the business was, built in me some of the tenacity that I have today. So my message here is very clear. We all want to do great things, and I promise you, you will do great things. You do big things, okay? But sometimes you have to start small and walk your steps upwards. Dangote, I remember when I was reading about him, when they asked him what's his best business advice, he said, start small, think big. I was starting out as an entrepreneur. Of course, I didn't listen. I wanted to start big, and I started big, but I suffered for it because very quickly it showed that I didn't have certain skills and experience, and it showed up in my work. So I always say, I met a lady recent. I met a lady. I heard about a lady. She's a lawyer just like me, and that law firm wasn't really paying her much. Weekends, she sells secondhand clothes, and there are tons and tons of stories. I remember when I shared this Shamemoney experience in London, more than 10, 15 women came to me after the talk, said, I can't believe it. Mo, do you know what? Yes, this is what I do, but in the evening, I clean. I can't tell my friends, I can't tell my family this is what I do because they're going to judge me. They're going to look at me a certain type of way. I said, you know what? Don't care about what people say. It is your money. Even if it's shit money doesn't smell. All right. So don't worry about what it is, build it, take it seriously, work hard, and I promise you the story will change. That woman started with 2 dresses. She would take bus. She couldn't even afford buses because apparently in those days, Molwed now for those in Kenya that's a big kind of the massive kind of bus. So those ones were a little cheaper than the buses. She sometimes would take those ones. And then one day she could afford taxis. And when she could, she did. And when she couldn't, she didn't. And then one day she bought her own pickup truck. One day she was able to hire a driver. And the story goes on and on. And had it not been for her and her tenacity, I probably wouldn't have studied in England and America and all these beautiful places I've studied. And I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I want to encourage you that you might have a full-time job. Great. Have yourself a side hustle. All right? Because everybody needs that extra income. Even if that income from that side is to pay towards an investment, is to save for the future, or is to pay for a certain bill, that is shame money. Sometimes your shame money will go on to become fame money, like the way mine did. I started with smoothies, and now I sell properties in US, and we do millions of sales in a month. It could be that, or it could be designed to remain as shame money. And guess what? No matter how big my business grows, no matter who I get to talk to, not only will I always be a proud recipient of shame money, I will always have my own shame money hustle. I always, whether is me buying gold, sharing it with other women and making sure I don't pay anything out of it, I will take that. Or could me selling clothes, it could be anything, but I will always have my shame money because it is yours. It is your own thing, it's your little baby. And for those of us that shame money is not for us, hey, great. You can still pick up business skills that you can transfer to your business. It doesn't matter what it is. But I encourage people, even as an employee, have a side hustle. You don't know when that day will come when your employer says bye. Yes, I was AVP. Yes, I had my shame money. And one day my employer says, bye-bye. And you know what I did? I took my shame money. I continued my business. And today it's a different story. And if sometimes maybe we're even in a business and business is struggling, all right? Sometimes it's that shame money that will give you that buffer that you need. Because as we know, businesses go through seasons and cycles. Anyway, enough said. I'd like us to hear from a very good friend turned sister. She's a baker. She's one of the top bakers in Nigeria. You might have heard about her. Her company is called Mix and Bake. okay? And she has been a phenomenal supporter from day one. I won't forget her because her platform was actually the first place I spoke when I decided I wanted to start speaking. I said, you know what I can do? She said, really, you can speak? I said, I think so. I have a thing or two to say. And, she's been a great supporter of mine. She's my sister. She understands the concept of shame money. She's been through tremendous amount of experience and journey herself. And she's just here to share her story with us. That's all. So I want you all to relax. Make sure you have your questions at the end. And we're just here to learn and have fun. So without further ado, I'd like to bring my sister, my big sister, by the way, let me qualify that, Mrs. Ikeolubi Obaku. Thank you so much, Faith. Welcome.
Wow. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome.
We're giving you a clap. You're on mute.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mo.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for inviting me. And hello, everybody. Hope you're all good. Yeah.
We're great.
Okay.
Yes,
fantastic.
we are.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. I'm Ikeolubi Obaku, like Mo said. Mo inspires me. She's one of the people that is making me think hard now about having investments in the US. Okay, she's one of the people. All right. Now, how many minutes do I have more?
Well, we're going to be here for the next 40 minutes or thereabouts. So you can tell us your experience, and then we'll give them time to
Okay. All right.
give us some questions.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you. I'm Ikeolubi Obaku. I studied economics in University of Ibadan many years ago, and of course, my first and foremost, our parents way back then. They love all this big profession. Oh, I'm an accountant. I'm an engineer. As a matter of fact, my father wanted me to study engineering. I was first of all in the University of Technology, and I was always crying. I would literally, what am I getting myself into? Because I mean, he works in Shell. He's late now, so he wanted to just integrate his daughter into the oil company, and I just couldn't cope. I had to find my way out myself out of the University of Technology by divine arrangement. So I ran away to University of Ibadan. I took, to my heels to University of Ibadan. It was after I'd been admitted in University of Ibadan, he got to know about it. And he was asking, why didn't you move to Ife to study accountancy? My daddy is big on Mo. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And of course, I'd always had flair for baking right from home. I loved baking. I just loved cooking and all that, and of course, your parents. I'm talking about more than 25, 30 years ago, baking, and you now say you want to start that as a business. No way, they would look at you. My the children of my friends are doctors, engineers, and all that. I mean, all that. Okay. Anyway, so when I left school, I like I said, I always had the flair for baking. I had started this little business back when I was in university days. I would bake. When we go home, I would sell things like meat pie, sausage roll. Honestly, I used to make money. There was a day Mo had called me to come and speak, and I said, I wish I had someone to advise me. Of course, we should all take responsibility and all that, but honestly, I wish I had someone to advise me. Why don't you invest this money or something? Mo, I squandered all the money on clothes, shoes, bags. In fact, when I got back to school, they actually thought I traveled to the UK or US or something. They thought I just came back. I had all my bags. I spent the money literally. I finished the whole thing. So of course, when I left school, I worked in a bank for about a year. I was about to transit to another bank when I got this opportunity to travel to go and do some cake decorating, so like I was transiting from one bank to the other. I had done the interview, I'd done the test, I passed it, I'd done the interview. So when it was, I mean, no, I hadn't done the interview, I'm sorry. So when it was time for the interview, I was called. Meanwhile, I was in the UK. They called me and said, okay, aren't you coming for the interview, blah, 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 blah. The person was like, you're such an unserious person, and went on and on. But, after I finished my cake decorating class, I just had this conviction in my heart that I'm not going back to Lagos to go and to go and work in any bank or anything. I'm going to go for my cake business. Of course, that period I had gotten married. So I got married. That was before I went to the UK. I had gotten married. So, I came back, started my business. We had moved into our apartment. So I started my business, of course, from uh from the house. I was baking at home for like 2 years. And at that point, I knew it was time for me to move. Now, remember, we're talking about growth, okay? It's just a summary of the whole thing. I guess your questions will make me answer more. You understand? So, I left. Sorry, I got distracted by the knock on the door. Anyway, so please, Mo, what was the last thing I said? I'm sorry.
You were married, you moved to your apartment.
Okay, yes. I had started the business in the apartments and all that. And I would bake. Even, my husband had a bit of, baker, you understand, they would also like you to be, I don't want him to hear, that's why. They want you to have one kind of office job and all that. So he wasn't too sure about me being a baker either, so that's the shame thing Motorayo is talking about and all that. But of course, because he loves me, he decided, oh, let her go for it if that's what she wants to do. And of course, I'd already left my father's house, so he had no hold over me again to say, you must work in the bank, you must do this, So I had started my baking career. So, afterwards, the whole house was getting full, So as a business startup, if you do not have customers, because I always wonder, why do people start with it? Like most Motorayo will call it brick and mortar. You go get a storefront or a store, spend so much money, you have yet, no customers yet. The first thing you're thinking of is having an office. It doesn't work like that. The most important thing is start by having customers. So I had gotten customers, I had worked. As a matter of fact, it was my husband that was like pushing me away. You have to leave this house. My house has turned into a bakery. So when I got my first storefront, so we started. And of course, you would think when you go to the main streets that customers would just rush in like bees. It didn't work like that, So I had to start, because people were used to ordering. They'll call me, okay, I want this cake and all that, but I had to go out, push. I remember when I had my first child. I remember I went to quote for a job on the island with my baby. She was still suckling, I had no driver. There was a day I had to park on the road to feed her. Are you following me? I had to park on the road to feed her. And you won't believe I lost. The lady didn't give me the job. I cried though. I cried, but it was so painful because I live on the mainland. I drove all the way to the island, did a lot of things, checking the venue, checking all sorts, and I didn't get the job. It was quite painful. Anyway, those are the parts. Those are the things you need to go through in growing up. So I used to go out a lot. I'll go out to markets. You can imagine I had friends, I studied economics. Most of my friends were working in the bank, but they were my partners, so to speak. I would go tell them, oh, because I really enjoyed baking. So they would tell their friends, oh, my friend does cake. I remember doing Valentine, all those special occasions. I used to get a lot of jobs. So remember, I didn't sit down in the shop. I didn't sit down in the office. I went out marketing, leveraging on my friends that were in the bank, because, you know, we all started in the bank together. You have to give me business, introduce me to your friends, talk to your friends. So I started like that, and I did get business, you know. So after a while, again, I mean, we went through ups and downs and all that, you know. But honestly, if I look at now and compare to then, I'm happy I started business years back, not now. Okay. So afterwards, we had stayed in the first place for so long, and you know, I added two things. So we're moving into streams of income now. I added two things that were related to cake making. You know, I started with cake making, birthday cakes, wedding cakes, all occasion cakes. So I would have people come to me to say they want to learn. Do you understand? I would like to learn, you know, and you know, it was, they would push. I would tell them I don't teach and all that, but after a while, I decided to succumb to it. You know, why not? It's an extra way of making income. So I started teaching. So, you know, anytime I go for an upgrade in learning more, that's one thing an entrepreneur should have. You must always make sure you upgrade yourself. You know what's the trend. You know what's happening around the world and all that. So anytime I go, I would look at the way the foreign teachers are teaching, how they imparting knowledge. You know, so I started that. Then afterwards, my students, so that's a second stream of income. So I started with cakes, all occasion cakes, and I started teaching. Then, you know, afterwards, a third stream of income. You know, now all these things were coming in, not because I really planned it, but I decided to leverage on it, you understand? So I don't just base my income on one. So, when we teach, there are people, we teach with the cake tools like cutters, you know, cake tools come in different forms and all that. So, you know, students, you know, when they come and I teach them with something, you say, okay, I would like to buy this. So I would have to give them addresses, A, B, C, go there, go buy, go to the island, go here and there. So a few of them started getting upset. Mrs. Bibaku, can't you get all these things for us? You understand? So I started by going to these different stores. I would pick a few so that when I'm having classes, after a while, I just thought, let me try out this thing myself. Well, you know, when we go for cake shows in the UK, in the US, we have, you know, people, and funny enough, is this cake thing, maybe if I'd remained a banker, I probably would have been stuck in Lagos. Who knows, I would have probably been sacked by now or let go because of, you know, a lot of things happening in the economy now. You know, it was because of cake. You know, some of my friends or some of my family members will say, you mean it's because of cake you're going to the UK? It's because of cake. Because of cake, I went to South Africa, I went to Singapore, I went to UK, US, different countries because of cake. Can you imagine? Because of the shame cake. Anyway, so, and you know, when you go to all those places, you actually meet the real manufacturers, people that manufacture all those products that you see, that other cake makers see on TV, or you see in the books, you see authors of books and all that. So I decided to approach a few of them and told them that, okay, I would like to sell this product. What's the procedure? And that was how I started selling cake tools, you know. And, you know, that's the third stream of income. Then we moved into a fourth one too, which is edible printing. You know, in the past, when you come to my office, we had one place where we had computers, and sometimes when people come, they'll be wondering, is this not a cake shop? What are all these computers, printers doing here? You know, when we do edible images, you know, those images that you place on cakes and all that. So I decided to leverage on that. So I decided to go into that, you know. And afterwards, I was now neglecting my first love, which was cake. I started with, because I was making a lot of money from all this, more than the cake. You know, I was making a lot of money and all that. So after a while, of course, I got to attend seminars. You know, I went for a seminar one day, and the gentleman talked about, what's your net worth? you know, I know that's Motorayo's main investments, you know, what's your net worth? And I looked at myself, I said, I'm only worth some cake tools and all that, maybe my gas oven, and they probably must have depreciated and all that. So that was when I started thinking of investments. So, you know, when you, as a cake, you know, it takes, it may be a journey of 1,000 miles, but you need to start with baby steps, you know. So immediately I went for that seminar and they said, what's your net worth? You are not worth this. I mean, what happens when you drop today or something? What happened? You know, I mean, the way Mo usually talks to us. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, you know, that was how I started. I said, okay, let me, I got back to the office. I spoke with my accountants. You see, that's why it's good to mix. So, you know, it wasn't like I focused on cake people alone. I decided to go for seminars that give you ideas on what next to do, not just about your immediate your primary work you're doing. Do you understand me? So I was a baker, I was doing baking, but I decided to go for this seminar. You know, that's why you also have to be in tune with the discernment. You have to be discerning. You have to pray. Okay, what would you want me to do the next time? You understand? So, you know, that's how come I went for the seminar. And after I left the seminar, it wasn't cake I went to learn. They didn't teach me how to decorate a cake or do something special. It was all about growing your network. So, you know, after that, I decided to, you know, because of course I couldn't afford all the big places, you know. So I went into the bush, into the forest. In fact, when I got there, if not that I had made up my mind to buy that land, it wasn't like I was buying it because I wanted to live in it. It was just like, oh, you need to invest something. My brothers and sisters, it was a forest though. As a matter of fact, we had some bankers, you know, a lot of spere ladies and gentlemen that came that day. You know, when they saw the forest, they turned back. They said, I'm not going to buy this place. You understand? But, you know, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. You know, Mo has said everything like that. If you cannot afford VI today, if you cannot afford Okpebi today, if you cannot afford US today, start from somewhere. I'm so glad I took steps. So I decided to buy 2 plots. As a matter of fact, I dragged my husband with me and said, come and buy. My husband too looked at it and said, okay, since it's just investment, let's just go ahead. And of course, we trusted the person. Would you believe that after 5 years, you know, I bought 2 plots. I wanted to sell one plot because I'd gone ahead to do other investments, you know. After like maybe 4-5 years, that land had doubled by times 5. Times 5. That was what I sold one of the plots. Okay, so let's fast forward to present time. You know, I mean, we all face all sorts of challenges in business. Now, a few years back, this was 20, I think it was 2018 or 2017, that first devaluation came into the industry. And remember, I used to import things, you know, because I'd gone into tools and accessories. I used to import things from the UK, from the US. As a matter of fact, I'd developed partnership with 2 cake decorating schools, one in the UK, one in the US, PME and Wilton. So I developed the partnership in such a way that I would issue, people don't have to travel to the US to do a Wilton course. They can come to Mix and Bake, do a Wilton course, and we issue their certificates. The same thing with the PME. We had a partnership with PME UK, so people don't have to go to, you know, they have cake masterclass, just like this is an online masterclass. So, you know, we had cake masterclass, we had cake diploma. You know, cake is not easy. Don't think it's an easy thing. We have diploma in cake decorating. So, you know, I was able to, so we issued their certificates and all that. Now, when the depreciation started, my God, it really affected. It affected my business because, I mean, that means instead of buying things as I used to buy for how much, I couldn't buy them again, you know. So I had to reduce the things I bought because people were not able to afford it. And at that time, China came in. This was like 3 years ago, 2017. China products flooded the whole market, you understand? So really that affected my business significantly. And at the same time, I was investing in a property in Abuja, because that we were Mix and Bake was using the property as a business. And after a while, we had to start, we negotiated to buy the property. And honestly, the money was coming from all these tools, sales and all that, not basically from cake. Like I said, I had abandoned my cake decorating, so and cake baking. So after, that's a challenge in business. Exchange rate devaluation, the issues of exchange rate. So you know what I did? I started loving back. You understand? I started massaging my cake back. We rebranded, changed logo, changed a lot of things, and that was how we were able to stay afloat. Now, it doesn't mean I still don't do cake tools, I still do. Then at this point, we also moved into online training. Okay, a year after, we moved into online, Then, thank God, it was in 1919 or late 2018, we moved into online training. Who knew COVID was going to come? Can you imagine that? And of course, before then, I'd had people asking me from different parts of the world. They want to learn this. There was a time I had someone from the UK that wanted to learn Nigerian meat pie. There's a puff pastry different from the Nigerian meat pie. You understand? She wanted to learn. I had to do a video, arrange something and send to her. Do you know, till today, I never collected money from her because she wanted to pay me in pounds, but I just wasn't, coordinated. So, when I got the opportunity to learn this online thing, I went for it immediately, late 2019. So afterwards again, of course, let me move down to 2020. You understand? 2020, we started 2020 on a fantastic note. January, February, March. I was even planning to go and visit Mo in Kenya, you understand, and COVID struck. And what happened? The month we went on lockdown, I had just, before then, I had prepared to do an online class. Do you know it was the income from that online class I used to pay my staff that month? Then, of course, I think the shutdown was about a month or so. I think about 3 to 4 weeks. So, I decided to brush up some other things, do some more online classes and all that. Then, at the same time, that same period, I was going to receive rent on one of the properties. So, can you imagine now? Don't look at me and feel, oh, how did she get to this stage? I've been in business for 22 years. So I'm not a spring chicken. So don't think, oh, how did it's gradual, it's a gradual process. And don't be too overwhelmed. Don't rush. Don't say, oh, I'm going to do all at once. It's a gradual process. The sacrifices I had to make that period. So, it was the income from one of the rents we were able to balance out on the business. A lot of businesses shut down. I'm sure you know, during COVID, a lot of businesses shut down, things happened, but we were able to balance out a little. Then, of course, I did some rearrangement. I went into other things. I never used to do bread rolls and all that. I decided to go into bread rolls. Some things I wasn't doing. We teach all those things. We teach a lot of pastry. We teach how to do pastry. We teach how to do a lot of things. I decided to go in. In fact, when people call me to say they want to, some of my friends call me from some of our friends that have moved to the US or UK that are no longer in Nigeria, they call and say, oh, I want to do a small party for one of my family members. They will order cake and they will now ask me, do you do rice? Do you do chicken? I just get somebody. I never say no. I will just get someone, oh, you cook rice, cook chicken, you do this. I just add my own on top. Are you following me? There was a day someone called me and said, I need drinks. My mom is in this people's home in Ikorodu, and she wants to do a 70th birthday. They would order their cake, and she would ask me, okay, how about Coke, Fanta, soft drinks, this, that, snacks. I add everything together. I would make my profit from it, and we will deliver. I never said no to anything. Do you understand? I never said no. I don't sell Coke. I don't sell Fanta. I sell everything. You understand? So far, it has to do, it's edible. So in conclusion, now it's online that is even, especially post-COVID, after they said, okay, we should go back to work and all that, nobody wanted to gather with people. So people would ask, okay, do you have this? I want to learn. And I would tell them I have it online, and they would pay. My online classes is now like a stream of income that comes randomly. You understand? Okay, just today, somebody paid and said, okay, I want to do a certain course. I said, okay, this is how much it is. Send it. Do you understand? So, to be able to weather the storm, it takes grace, it takes mixing with people. Okay, let me just talk about the future in 1 minute. The future now is what Motunrayo is teaching us. Dollar investment. I've been saving for a while. And in fact, right now I'm thinking because I still have that land. I still have like 2 shops. I'm thinking, okay, should I sell the land and sell one of the shops, bring money together and see if I can invest in the US? At least I'll still have, because I bought 2 stores in the Costa shopping complex. And I wonder, okay, if I sell one of it, sell the land. Honestly, this morning I was calculating Motunrayo. I was calculating, okay, how much dollars? Motunrayo said with like $80K, you should be able to, okay, how much will I be able to get on to buy it in this recession time? Those were all the things going through my mind. So with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you a bit and not confuse you. Thank you, Mo.
Thank you so much. Can we give a virtual clap, physical clap, spiritual clap, financial clap? Thank you so much, sis. Thanks for bringing all of that to us. And if you have any question, please drop it on the chat box. For me, I like to hear stories. See, I am a very practical person. I don't do well with terminologies and Harvard models, those kind of models that everything is tip-top graphs. I'm a real person. I like to hear people's stories. I like to hear those inspirational stories of how you failed and then you came back on top. I love comeback stories because for me, that is reality. And when I'm sharing my stories with people, that's why I'm very real. I'm very honest, brutally honest, to be honest, because that's the only way we can learn. Because if everything, what we see on Instagram is what we feed off on, you're going to go, you see people on Throwback Sunday. No, sorry, it's Thursday. Throwback Thursday in Dubai, Throwback Thursday. So, tell me how you failed and you grind and you came back. Those are the things that can help me. So thank you so much for that beautiful, lovely story. I have a couple of questions. And like I said, if you have any question, do drop it. A lot of things you're saying was about my business. So for those of you that just see me for the first time, this is Shamemoney platform. This is like a togetherness, a communityness that I'm building for people that are trying to get into the entrepreneurial space, or people struggling, or people trying to scale up. So we come here, we share stories, and that's it really. But my real core business is Money Stewards. We're headquartered in Texas, trading as Stewards Flip. We build properties, brand new properties for clients. We've developed a number of properties there. We get properties for people on auction. We renovate properties for clients, and we sell, and we do a lot of, we're just in the real estate space. We're really big and we're really growing in the real estate space. And I do a lot of training, one-on-one training on investment. So my forte really is foreign investment, but Shamemoney is my baby. So now you have a little bit of knowledge about what I do. Okay. So you said a few things that caught my attention. First of all, I know your industry is very competitive. Staff turnover is high, which is true for a lot of businesses in Africa. Staff turnover is high, and there's a lot of competition. You're just getting started.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And I know
absolutely
that you
right.
do a lot of mentorship program because a lot of your mentees have come to me to mentor them, and you've invited me to your platform numerous times. So I know the struggle is real. So I know, I also know you said that thank God you started when you started. Anyway, tell me how some of the struggles you've had and how you've been able to overcome those struggles. Are they still, I know you also mentioned the fact that you're really into accessories, and then dollar happened, China happened, and then you had to stay. So tell us some of the challenge, competition, problems with competition that you face, the turnover staff problem that you face, the competition in the industry. Cake industry is quite competitive.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, it's getting more competitive because
Wow.
a lot of people are losing their jobs, so they're landing on things they can at least learn to start. So a lot of people are either going into baking or moving into, I don't know if they move into fashion. I think fashion is a bit more, So indeed, that's so right. A lot of people have gone in now. Regarding staff turnover, I used to have staff turnover some years back. So you know what I did? I can't even remember where I got that idea from. I really don't know. Because I know I went somewhere, and I had a meeting with my ladies and gentlemen, and I told them, I said, they need to have savings, that they need to have savings. Of course, some of them kicked against it. Most workers, they want to earn and finish up all the money. So I told them, I said, I want to be saving a percentage of your money. It's good for you for the future. Do you understand? I want to be saving a percentage of your money. I think I decided to do about 7% or something. So I'll take 7% of their money. So what I was doing more for them, so that they would be able to do that savings, I used to pay their taxes, the Nigerian tax, the extra money that comes from me. So we paid for mix and bake. You understand? Because it wasn't such a big, huge sum anyway. So each one every month we pay their what they call that tax? Is it a staff tax or something? So we were saving the money from them. So you know what? When they know, after a while, it helped me with this staff turnover thing. After someone has worked for like 1 year, and we write in the employment letter, you must give us at least 3 months notice before you leave, so that you can collect your savings. And if you give us long notice, we will at least give you some interest. Originally I told them if they work more than a certain number of years in the company, I would give them some amount of money. But because of the economy kept changing and all that, what happens now is I give them interest on it. I calculate, excuse me, the going rate, the percentage, So it encouraged them to save. And after then, people stopped jumping out of mix and bake anyhow more, because they know that they have savings in mix and bake. So they give me enough notice. There was a time one of my very good ladies, she wanted to leave. Do you know more? She gave me 1 year's notice. She gave me 1 full year notice and told me that she'll be leaving. She told me in December that she will be leaving the next year, December. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. So we're able to employ someone and she learns under the person. Now with competition, because I've been able to leverage on doing other things, you understand? I even do gift packaging. There was a customer that came one day and said, I need a cake. They always come with, I want to buy a cake. And they would now say, oh, I also need a pair of shoes for my wife. I also need fabric for my wife. I'll say, I can get it for you. I'll send samples of fabric, because me too, I like dressing. I'll send, or I will go, especially my premium. I have some premium customers. I don't joke with them. They would say, I want to do this. So while some people are, facing the heat of cake competition, I am making money on buying fabrics, even though I'm not a fabric seller. I'm making money on buying shoe from mobiles. I'm not a shoe seller. I just add my own premium on it. So, it helps me in level. Then I have other cake makers coming to do edible printing for their cake work.
You have a charge.
So more, yes, there is competition. The market is very competitive, but that's how I've been able to weather the storm. Now, I won't say it was easy, especially when I rebranded, when I decided to face my first love, because I had actually abandoned my first love. That is cake making. When people come, they would say, we want to pick up a cake immediately. We will say, no, you have to order. You have to order. Give us 3 days, 4 days notice. I didn't jump into that pickup brand immediately because I had money coming in from other sources. But when one of those sources, which was a major source, when it started going down, I decided to do that. Of course, for a year, it was quite shaky because you see, when you have like a storefront where you have people coming to pick up cakes, be ready to deal with some cakes going bad after a few days and all that. So be ready to deal with that. But those are teething problems to move on to the next phase of your business. I hope I've been able to help a bit.
That was amazing. Now I want to go back to the investment question, because one of the things, shame money, again, I say from shame money to fame money. So you name it, you shame it, and you fame it. And I know that in your journey you had shared with me earlier on how you started, obviously you started from your house or your apartment.
Yeah.
Rather.
Yes, it was a 3-bedroom apartment with a 4x4 kitchen.
You started from your apartment and then you went to a store. You shared with that story that you went to a store, and when you go to the store, it was very daunting, it was expensive, you didn't know how you're going to pay, you wanted to run back. The first thing you wanted to do was go back to your familiar. That's where you're from. Because when you're at home and your husband is covering you, he might be ashamed of what you're saying, but he's paying the bills. You can hide behind that. But now that you're being exposed on the storefront, so the first thing you wanted to do was to go back. So I think it's important for us, especially as budding entrepreneurs, that when you put yourself out there, you're going to get a lot of rejections. You're going to get a lot of pushback. And the first thing you want to do is to go back to the familiar. Do not do that. Be tempted not to. I always use the story of the Israelites, where in front of them was the Red Sea. Behind them was Pharaoh's army. If they go, they drown. If they stay, the enemies will come and kill them there. And then what did they say? They looked up to Moses. Moses said, why are you crying to me? Move forward. I have always come to a situation whereby when I'm in a junction, when I'm between a rock and a hard place, if I don't know what to do, an expert opinion doesn't really sort it out for me, you know what I do? I move on. I always move on. Because for me to go back to the familiar is not a choice I like to make. All right, so I thank you for that story. So when you, tracing back your story, you left your apartment, you went to the store, but you decided to weather the storm. You stayed in the store, you finished that, and then you said you bought stores in Ikota, because it's also important for us to tell that story of Ikota. Now you bought a store in Ikota, two shops in Ikota, and you were running it as mix and bake.
Yes.
Exactly. So first of all, the first thing you did there was that, remember, there's always something I teach people, 4 streams of income. No matter the income you're making or your multiple streams of income, build your investment portfolio.
Absolutely.
Do not be, we are entrepreneurs, we're tempted taking all that money and keep putting into your business. You want to grow this business. No. Build your investment portfolio, because wealth is in the building and building ownership. So you decided that, you know what, you wanted to buy a land and you also wanted to buy a store. And this is where it's important for you to build your business. So have something that is yours, because that business might not grow as quickly as you thought. It might even fail, all right? But here's the thing you did. You set up a branch in Kota as mix and bake. Because I even remember that, because I ordered cake from Mix and Bake in Lekki that time, and you were so gracious. I was hoping to talk to one of your employees, and you took that order and even followed up on the order and delivered. And that's where I was like, wow, the CEO following up on me. Hey, I must be big. Anyway, here's the story I wanted us to talk about. At some point, and Lucky store was doing very well. You were paying salaries, you were fulfilling orders, it was doing well. But at some point, something happened along the line. It started to fail. It started to fail. And then you made that decision to close it down. So people can't fail in business, and you made that decision to close it down. And then what did you do when you closed down that store? It was your property.
I started earning rent on it.
Thank you. And tell me about that rent. Was that rent more than the income you were making from that store?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. It was, because you see, after expenses, by the time the turnover comes, you remove your expenses, you remove salaries, maintenance, all those things. It was, of course I was emotional about it, but thank God for the accountant I have, Mo. The guy came, very good guy. He said, Auntie, please, can we go and check how much this is going for? Because, so we were able to make times four. Let's say out of 100 naira, let's say we were making profit of 250. When we decided to let it out, we were making 1,000 naira. And no salary, no maintenance. Is the person, at least in this part of the world, you maintain where you are, especially if it's not residential. No monthly bill, nothing. Everything. All I do is collect the rent at the end of the year.
And I'm so glad you made that, because really, if you hadn't, you would have probably gone on to that business much longer, because you put in so much money on rent, you put in so much money on infrastructure. Let me hang in there for a little while. Maybe I'm putting the plug too much. So I think, and that's what I love about the McDonald's model. The business, people think that McDonald's is in the business of selling burgers and fries. No, they are in the business of real estate, because they've been able to master the model. And that's why they have one of the biggest real estate holdings in America, because they knew that their business, the money was not in the restaurant. The money was in the land. And so the land, they make sure they own the land, they build the property. And so the real estate portfolio of McDonald's is in hundreds of billions, because they were able to master that model from start. So I would say that that's one of the, why did I make mention of that? Because it's important that we know that there's the business of yours. You have your business, you have your own business, Mix and Bake. It's a business. But then you have Ikeolubio Baku as a person separate from your business. And you realize that you have to give a nest egg for Ikeolubio Baku, because one day this business might not survive you, or even if it survives you, this is yours. If the business keep their affairs separate, and then you're able to. So I really like that, and I wanted people to hear it. So I have a question here from someone, from Ife Olayem. She says, question: what are the key strategy rebranding tips you've learned? I have a catering outfit which is with similar competition and story like yours, man. So key strategy branding. And then the second question from Janae says, who are the critical staff you need to have for your business to grow well?
Okay, let me start from the second question, critical staff. It depends on your type of business. For my business, because we're into baking, I definitely need a cake decorator, someone that can bake. So these are my critical staff: someone that can bake, someone that can decorate. So a baker, a good decorator. I need an accountant, even if it's not for full time, somebody to check the books. Then I need a storekeeper. I think those are the basic one. Now, of course, now I have head of stores. I'll be someone managing one branch. Do you understand? Right now, I have Antoni branch. I have Ojodu branch. There was a time I had Abuja branch. I had.
So you closed by Abuja branch?
Yes, I just did that just before COVID. I didn't know COVID was going to come. I closed it down because I was tired of traveling Motunrayo. I was fed up for a whole year. I didn't travel. And of course, a lot of people, because I used to go to Abuja monthly. I got consultants and, the consultants too, they were just chopping my money. And I just decided to shut it down. It was very emotional for me, but I'm glad I did. I'm so glad I did.
But you also bought that property in Abuja, right?
Yes,
You had bought it.
yes,
Well done.
yes.
So what are you using the property for? Is it similar to
Rent,
Ikocha?
rent.
And is the rent making more money than the cake business?
Well, it's less stress. It's making money, yes, and is a lot less stress for me.
Okay.
Traveling, you understand? And of course, there was one period in Nigeria, plane crashes up and down. I became so scared. Will I be traveling by road to Abuja? So I was contemplating all that. But of course, I tried it for a whole year. I got consultants to manage it. But you see, no one can manage something like yourself. They just chopped my money for 1 year. So I had to close it down. Okay.
Wow.
So, okay. So I was talking about branches. So you have a branch head. That's when you have expanded. But like I said, it depends on your kind of business. It depends on the type of business you do. Okay. So key staff, you are the number one key staff. A baker, a decorator. I can do with that. But of course, when you start getting bigger, you need a storefront person, like a receptionist, somebody that'll pick up the calls, because you can't be taking all calls of the business coming in. You understand? You need someone to manage a branch, because when you're not there, the person will be checking up on what's happening, a storekeeper, an accountant, bakers, decorators. Then, there was a time I had like brand people, someone social media, like a social media consultant and all that. But after a while, I sent the guy packing. I started doing some things myself. Of course, you can't do all things, but the situation of the economy will let you know the people you need and those you don't need. Now, for the second question, key strategies for branding. Okay, I hope I'm getting that question right now. In the beginning, actually, you need to be known for something. Now I'm doing many things. Don't be jack of all trade, master of none. People know me. I mean, people know me as a baker. They don't know me as someone that sells other things. They know that's the first thing. So you must focus on something when you start. You understand? So that's what do we know? That's the brand. That's your image. That's what people will know you as. Okay, she's a cake maker. Do you understand? Then most probably after a while, actually, people started knowing us as a school. You wouldn't believe it. In fact, some time ago, we had to redo a lot of things because we were rebranding, because we had focused so much on selling of tools and taking classes. I used to travel from place to place, doing seminars, cake seminars. I'll go to Port Harcourt, go to Warri, go to Abuja, go to all sorts, taking classes. So after a while, even Google, when you Google mix and bake, it shows you as a school. We had to, because how do I put it? When people, they come from different places and all that, we want to take a class, we want to do this, So right now, I'm intentionally making sure it's not just school. It's a cake, a storefront. You can come in and buy your cakes. Because I mean, a few days ago, I was with a customer. The customer was wanted to order online. The lady wanted to order cake. The lady wanted to order cake. Of course, after COVID, I had to fast track our online shopping platform. So, the lady wanted to buy online, and she said she Googled mix and bake. The person in charge again, that it's cool that it's still showing on Google. What can you do to change it? Because we want a situation whereby when Google search, you should be able to see our cake store rather than just going, to www.mixandbakeng.com, because a lot of people do Google. So, for brand strategy, you have to make sure, number one, you are known for something. Don't put so many things in the face of the people. Make sure you are known for something, then after that, after you're known for, after you built that name, you built that brand, you cannot be doing other things on the side. I don't know if I answered that.
No, you did. Absolutely. No, be known for something. And it's good. It's like the story of the goose and the horse. I always say that you are known for something,
Yeah,
rather than jack of all trades, master of none.
exactly,
People
exactly.
want to eat cake. People want a good wedding cake, a good birthday cake. And she baked
Yeah.
my 40th birthday cake, which was amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
They can call you. They can call you, say, this is it. And I think people kind of figure out that if you can bake it, then you can probably train somebody to bake it. So if they know
Yeah.
you bake cake, then they come to you. They can just ask you, oh, do you train, by the way? Like the way a lot of people were asking me when I started, I want to join your investment club, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? I'm not really running an investment club, right? I didn't really want to go down that route, of just running an investment club. I wanted to focus on building the business, because I know that with the business, the spill off will come. If I can
Yeah.
build a solid business, I can teach you how to invest, because that's the model of my business anyway. But if I'm teaching you and I'm not really building myself, I'm just teaching you to make some quick wins. It wasn't my strategy at all. Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank
Um,
you.
could you tell, as we round up, I think we're trying to round up by the next in the next 9 minutes. Could you tell us some of your failure stories and your triumph stories that we can learn from?
Failure, plenty, quite a number of failures. Uh, okay, maybe on the job. I've baked cakes in the past that the cakes will be dripping of water, and I will be so
Oh,
scared. There's sugar. When sugar is exposed to moisture, when you just take a cube of sugar, for example, and place it somewhere, maybe rain doesn't have to fall on it, just place it somewhere. You see that after a while, it absorbs moisture. So, there were times I hadn't gotten some recipes right, you understand? So let me share a wedding cake experience with you. I had an engagement cake and a wedding cake. So we went to deliver the engagement cake. And the engagement cake was dripping serious. I was scared, Mo. I was so scared. But you know what I did? I prayed. I said, Lord, I don't know what you're going to do. What's going to happen? Do you know what happened? The bride and groom, they forgot to cut the wedding cake. The lady that ordered the cake on behalf of the bride and groom was apologizing to me, but she didn't know that she had helped me. So you know what they did? They rushed the cake in to start cutting. Oh, we need to share the cake and all that. You understand me? So they had cut it and they distributed. So God delivered me from shame.
that's a miracle. I've never heard of anybody forgetting to cut their own cake.
It was Jesus that arranged it for me.
Wow, wow, wow,
Because
wow.
the
That's
cake was dripping, I don't know, I didn't get the particular fondant right at that point. Now, another failure, ah, well, maybe let me
22
move
years,
to,
too many.
yeah, exactly. Let's say success. Well, I think there's this story that really I was so glad that it happened. When I had started selling tools, um, the company actually called me from the UK, the PME company. I don't know how they must have maybe checked me out and all that. So they called me and said they want to partner with me to teach their classes in Nigeria. So I didn't go asking. I didn't go lobbying or doing anything. They just called me that they want you to. I think that was a great, a big do for me. Then the day I finished paying the Abuja branch, I think it was like somebody released me from prison. You know how it is, Mo, when you are paying something, a lot of sacrifice. You can't travel, you can't do anything, because you were pumping all the money into it. I don't
Wow.
know. I don't know if they're.
Well done, well done. Okay, so we'll take these last two questions and we'll call it a day. Do you have contract letters for all your staff, and how do you ensure amicable separation to difficult staff? And then what are your thoughts on corporate social responsibility?
Corporate social responsibility, where the, you know, corporate social responsibility is fantastic. It's awesome. You must
Engage.
do something for the society. Like for example, for many years, we've run what we call free baking and decorating classes. It's not everybody that can afford our classes. So we have where we cater for people, and it's a monthly thing. You come, usually I would tell people, if you can't afford our classes, don't worry, come. Then, we've given it, though in recent times we haven't done it, we've given scholarships in the past. We can just pick someone according to how we access you and all that. We give you full scholarship. We buy your tools. We buy, in the past we've given some people mixers, small local ovens to start. So we could just pick somebody out of the crowd. That is a corporate social responsibility. There are other things you can do. We've given back to schools. Mo, for example, when I was in school, I had a fantastic home economics department, and that was where my dream of being a baker started. Nowadays, when you go to the public schools, so what we used to do before Corona, we will go to public schools, very poor public schools, check their home economics department. If it's not all right, we'll tell them, okay, we want to do a little bit of equipping for the home economics department. We buy a few things for them. Then we teach them. We teach both the teachers and the students. It could be just, small things, shawarma, meat pie, how to bake cake. So that's the corporate.
And I think that's phenomenal.
Recently, Mo did that in Kenya. It brought tears to my eyes. She went to very poor neighborhood. If you go to her page, you would see that neighborhood she went to. I was so impressed. I was so moved. You understand? And I thought,
it's the biggest slum in Africa, by the way. It's the biggest slum.
Wow. It really looks like a slum. And she went there to give back to them. And this thing, it helps. People will pray for you. I get prayers on my quite often. So is there another question I haven't answered? There was one more you asked.
Something about
okay, now when
contract letters for your staff.
Yes. Anytime you're getting a staff, we had to get a HR consultant. Okay. She did a few, even if you can, because I didn't have the lady for too long. I had her for like a few years. So she passed knowledge to another person. The lady that is like, I call her our general manager. So she's also a general manager, and she also does HR. So, we give them, I've never had any bad split except one, which was during this COVID period, and it was resolved. It was resolved. Do you understand? So you must have a proper letter. If you must not do this, this is what you're allowed to do in mixed and bake. You have a handbook telling them, the rules, the policies of the business and all that. You must not do this. So when you do this, this is the repercussion. This is this is what will happen. Okay. So they go back, and when they don't follow the contract, they know the penalty. Okay, they know the penalty. So we usually tell them, if you do this, you will get this. So you must state it properly on black and white. They will sign it. They must sign and accept. They must give an acceptance letter. This, you need to go and meet someone. If you don't just draft letters yourself, because I know I've drafted a letter before. And when the HR consultant, so he said, if they take you to court, there's nothing that will, I don't know how to explain it. There's nothing. I mean, you can easily go to court and you'll be guilty. You'll be found guilty if you don't draft your letter in some certain way. So you have to protect yourself. You have to also protect your business.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So that's what we've got time for. I think the next episode of Shame Money, maybe we'll talk about investments. So we talked about entrepreneurship on 2 different occasions. Next one, we are going to be talking about investment. And maybe one of these days, I'll take a class on going global. Hey,
Yes.
because the economic situation in Nigeria means that we need to diversify. So don't just think locally, think globally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thanks for having me.
If you want to join officially the Shame Money family, we have a Shame Money course that you can attend. That brings you to the family officially, and that earns you a one-on-one with me. If you're looking for a cheap way of having a one-on-one, that might be a 30 minutes one-on-one session with me. So if you are interested in Shame Money, you can follow us on Money Stewards. That's my handle. Click on the bio and buy the course. And the course, once you take on the course, is a 6-module course. It basically tells you how you can get started in a business. You don't know what to do, you're just getting started. You want to try to take it from one level to the other. That course teaches you everything you need to do. We go mindset, we deal with goal setting, we deal with all kinds of things so that you can get you prepared into this very tough world of entrepreneurship. I wouldn't do anything else but this. I love entrepreneurship. I love the challenges. I love the ups and downs. And when you hear stories like this, they inspire you all the more to let you know that you're not the only one in this journey. We're a community. We're doing all of this together. And so I hope you take the course and join us officially as part of the Shame Money family. I also run a mentorship program. My next cohort is in February 2021. It is 100,000 Naira. With the mentorship with more, you learn all you need to know about personal finance, investments, real estate, especially foreign real estate. We want to learn how to trade, learn on the stock market, learn how to trade on global stocks. We teach you that. We have a module on entrepreneurship. So it's about 7 weeks. 6 to 7 weeks of just, and then you get to read some books, you do some presentation, it's a lot, but it's one of the most practical financial courses that I've put my heart and soul in, and people have given me all kinds of testimonies. I see a lot of people here that have attended the program. It has been, it's a fantastic program because I'm very real. I tell you my personal stories that I don't tend to share anywhere else because they're priceless experience to me, and I try to keep it as private as possible, but I shared on that platform. And then it's a very great platform for you to learn about all kinds of investment in a classroom setting. So I hope you sign up for that as well. It's on my page on Instagram. And finally, I just released a book, Shame Money, on Amazon, and I hope you get to buy it. Shame Money is a collection of different stories and just people starting in a very unusual way and going ahead to build a very successful business. And lots of things have been learned in that book. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you for the last 1.5 hours. Thank you so much for staying till the end. Until next time, probably next month, we'll see. We might skip December because of it's a festive season, we'll see. But January, definitely, we'll have another edition of Shame Money where we bring another guest to tell us about her stories and to learn a lot practically. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and of course, the rest of your month. And the year, actually, the month is over. So God bless you. Thanks again for joining us. And a wonderful, 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 wonderful round of applause to my wonderful sister and guest, Mrs. Tiolu Biobaku. Wonderful round of applause to her. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.